Okay, welcome everybody to tasting number 189 of the Saratoga Whiskey Club. We're very fortunate to have Jay from the WhiskeyLab back with us. This is part two of a WhiskeyLab import session, dram session, as we like to call it in upstate New York. Yeah, I'm going to have Jay introduce himself again, because there's going to be some new people tonight that weren't part of the first round. I can't remember when that was, about 6 months ago or so, I believe, somewhere in that realm. Maybe a little less. I can't remember, but somewhere around springtime, I believe. Yeah, so super excited to have Jay. He's coming with us. You're in Chicago, is that right, Jay?
I'm in DC,
Or DC.
Washington.
God, I did that last time too. For some reason, I have Chicago in my head. All right. Well,
There's a good reason.
I'm going to I'm going to give you the floor now. We'll all chime in as we go through these whiskeys tonight, and talk about these distilleries as well, and different IBs, independent bottlers. But welcome, Jay. Thanks for your time again, and thanks for doing what you do. We really appreciate it. These whiskeys are great. So keep rocking with
Great.
that.
Thank you, Charles. And thank you,
Yeah.
Ali, for setting this up. It's nice to see some familiar faces and good evening to everyone who's new. I'm Jay Roberts, the owner and founder of the Whiskey Lab, which started in Chicago, Charles. So that's probably why you
Okay.
keep saying that.
Yeah.
And then we shifted over to DC, where
Yeah.
I'm operating now, and that's since the start of the year. So
Okay.
just got published recently. But
Nice.
yeah, the Whiskey Lab, it's not just an independent bottler. Well, we do have our own brand, but I'm trying to make the Whiskey Lab as the platform, the pipeline for these small indie brands who aren't big enough to work with traditional importers out of Scotland and coming to America. And right now we have five brands, another four more coming in the next couple months. And what we have tonight is three of my favorite, including my own brand tonight. And Charles, I did want to ask, last time you put a layout on the tasting mat, is there an order that you wanted to go in this evening?
No, not necessarily. I
Okay.
mean, you can mix it up however you want. I did put the Buna at the end because I smelled it and I figured that
Yeah.
probably should be at the end. But I have not really. I did taste your Glenallachie. That's the only one I've actually had of this lineup. So,
Cool.
um,
Cool.
yeah, whatever you feel is the right order is fine with me.
Okay. I like to start with the least intense
Okay.
flavor on the palate, not necessarily the nose, and kind of work my way up. So I think you are spot on with the Buna at the end. I'd also place the Glenallachie side by side with that, with intensity of flavor.
Okay.
But to start off tonight, I think we should start with Tree Carragh. Used to say try Carragh, and then the owners they corrected me. But Tree Carragh, that's Scott Gaelic for three pillars, and that's meant to stand for the three pillars that make up Scotch: water, grain, and yeast. And we're going to start with the Mannochmore 11 year.
Okay. So bottom right on your placemat is where we're
Yeah.
starting tonight. The Tree Curragh, Mannochmore.
52.4%.
Yeah, this is a space side, and Tree Carragh tries to find a lot of brands that you tend not to see bottled. Mannochmore is almost exclusively used in blends. I haven't seen a branded bottle on the shelf in America, so I think you can only find this as from indie bottlers. But Mannochmore is a space side. It's very fruity, very floral, and I think the nose is pretty telling on this with how floral and fruity it is, and it's pretty easy on the palate. At
Uh,
52.4%.
can you maybe explain a little bit about the people behind Tree Curragh? I know they're really becoming super popular right now, and especially in Scotland. Do you
Yeah,
have?
yeah.
It would be kind of fun just to hear a little bit about their journey and what you know.
Sure, sure. I talk to them quite frequently. I talk to Ryan. So Ryan, I'm a former physicist. I was in the Navy. 10 years ago, I was stationed in Saratoga, but Ryan was actually studying to become a physicist, and that didn't happen. So he's got a physics degree. And then his former coworker, Ola, it's Ryan and Ola are the founders of Trikara. And they were part of Cask 88, which was an investment firm years ago. And they just went into solvency over the past few months. But 2 3 years ago, they didn't like what they were seeing in that operation, so they left. They got great deals on their own casks, and they started working and collaborating on creating the brand Tree Carragh. And what they try to do is these smaller cask releases. So this Mannochmore is only 236 bottles, but from their perspective, they're taking and letting things age for a couple years. They have some new make that they bought for the long term, but they're looking at stuff that they can finish within the next 2 to 3 years and put their unique twist on it. They tend to taste things pretty frequently, and almost everything that they do, they submit for awards 6 months to a year before they intend to bottle it.
Oh,
So the majority of the releases have a lot of awards associated with them.
oh,
And
that's
this, I
interesting.
believe,
So you
yeah,
can actually take juice out of a barrel and submit that for an award before it's been even bottled?
that's what a lot of the indie guys do. They send it out
Wow.
about a year before it gets bottled, maybe 6 months. They get the
Huh.
awards, then they bottle it.
Wow.
I've seen it happen a few times.
Hmm.
Vice putting it into a plastic tote, stopping the aging process, waiting for the award ceremony to go through.
Huh. Wow. Okay. So this is a second fill bourbon barrel.
Yep,
So not your hogshead. This would be a regular 53-gallon uh, bourbon barrel. Second fill, so not first fill. Um,
that's right.
236 bottles, 52.4% ABV.
Oh yeah, it's kind of a, I don't know how to say this proper. It's just so fruity and floral on the nose to me. Kind of overwhelms the palate when you're breathing in.
Mm. And we'll put these bottles in the chat room as well. So if anybody wants to go on the website and see what the info is, they can do that as well. I don't know if Holly can help me with that, but we'll add that into the chat room. I think only one of
Yeah,
these is not available at the moment, the Blair Athol, but the rest are all available. So
Blair Athol is wonderful. That's unfortunate. The this Mannochmore was first going to be. I was going to take the whole cask, but they had an importer in Germany that ended up taking it before I could commit to it. So we were trying to bring this whole cask over for a couple different clubs. I was only able to get 10 cases of this. So I'm glad you guys got to get some up there. I think it's a wonderful, well-priced strain.
yeah, 99.99 for this bottle, 11-year-old, pretty good price for that.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking too much tonight, but luckily I've tasted all of these, and this is definitely was probably one of my favorites. My tasty notes were oranges, orange tang, lemons, custard, peanuts, pear, and lychee. The palate is a little bit drier, but with rich vanilla wafer cookies, lime candies, and ginger spice. That's second fill for you.
Holly, you love the ex-bourbon casks quite a
Yeah.
bit, don't you? Yeah, we got some more coming of that. There's been a lot of requests. Try
Ex-bourbon
not
and
to do.
refill bourbon are usually better prices too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. What does everybody think of this?
I
It's
like that we're
easy.
starting with this too. It's it's light and definitely that fruit forward, little bit of the orchard note coming through, citrus orchard notes. Really nice.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy on the palate. A good opener. I would want to stick with Tree Carragh again for our next one. And it kind of works out. The Teaninich, it's a 9-year-old actually. It says 8 on
Oh,
the
that's my bad. My
tasting mat.
that was my
Hey,
error.
before we leave the
Sure,
Mannochmore, you said it's usually blended. What does it get
that's right.
blended into?
I don't know off the top of my head who the owner of this distillery is, but it's one of the big guys. I want to assume Diageo, and it's used in, yeah,
It's Diageo owns it, and it says it's the backbone of Haig and Dimple.
Okay, Hagen
okay.
Dimple.
Okay.
I'm curious. You know, with ones like Mannochmore and Teaninich, we're starting to see a lot of casks from these distilleries, but I was talking to somebody the other day. I think it was while we were in Ireland. I can't remember exactly, but they were saying that Diageo is starting not to sell a lot of these casks that they're using for blends anymore. So I'm kind of curious if there's like a glut in the market right now of some of these, but that this might be just a temporary thing, and we might not see these things for a while. I don't know if you've heard any of that or not, but
With the movements I've seen, I would say the opposite,
okay,
actually.
all right,
So when these two investment firms went to insolvency, bankruptcy, a lot of the casks got put on the market. So the cost of these higher end distilleries and have dropped. The high end distilleries, big name brands, Bowmore, Lafrogue, you can finally buy some of that. And in turn, the distilleries that are used almost exclusively in blends, their prices dropped quite a bit. So there's a little bit of a frenzy with indie bottlers having so much more variety and choice to buy. They're buying great stuff and they're placing stuff in finished casks for the long term. But I haven't seen anything, at least in the world that I'm working in, drying up regarding the typical blends like Mannochmore.
yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Teaninich, it's always been pretty well available. It's the difference I'm seeing is the brands that were never available or the distillers that are never available are now in the market.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was somebody mentioned something about Diageo specifically, just that they're not going to be selling off casks anymore or something like that. So I don't know. I can't
Yeah, some
I
of the
just can't remember who told me that, but yeah.
well, if you're familiar with Compass Box, I think we all are. They were supplied by Diageo for quite a bit of their blends. Everything that Compass Box does is a blend.
Mhm.
And this past winter, they're considering what they're going to do going forward because their supplies are running out from the old stock, and Diageo is not supplying as much as they used to. So I know there was a constraint to brands like Compass Box.
Okay.
I didn't think that would really impact indie bottlers focused on the single cast, but perhaps it is. I'm just
Yeah.
not seeing it. What
I
I'm
mean, it could be later down the road as well. All
Yeah.
right, so Teaninich. Ari, did you do your research on Teaninich and what Teaninich goes into?
Also, I think it's a Diageo. What did I
Okay.
see?
You're going to be our go-to knowledge component tonight.
That's why I have two screens, one for you guys and one for my research.
Yeah, Teaninich is a Highland, and it is available as a brand in certain areas of the country. It's just kind of a very large batch, nothing really special release. So you see it rarely on shelves, but it is in America.
I think so.
This in particular was an octave, so a very, very small cask, and it was a Amontillado sherry octave.
54.
Only got 72 bottles out of this one here.
Wow, so really, really small bottle count.
Yeah,
54.9.
Amontillado, where does that fall on the sherry scale? That's more on the fruit forward side, is that right? Or
Very dry.
yeah. So it's drier. So it's Oloroso, and it's this. I want to say bacteria that forms that prevents the oxidation of Oloroso. So it forms a drier sherry that's just drier and sweeter than the typical Oloroso richness. And this one's just, it's not, I wouldn't say sherry bomb. It's almost like a vanilla bomb to me. It's just vanilla, vanilla, vanilla.
I mean, when you look at the color of this one, it is first fill, but it's not a very old whiskey, so that it's not taking on some of maybe the richer colors that it might eventually. I'm just guessing here, but I am drinking it out of a very small glass tonight too, so it's harder for me to see.
It was aged the entire time in the Amontillado cask. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was. No, this was matured in this octave, so there's definitely not much in it. That's what they tell me. That's what they tell me. And this was picked for the Houston Scotch Whisky Society. They had this, so you'll see a label on the bottle that has their logo on it.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah. This was brought over all 72 bottles were brought over, and there was just a few left.
So we're stealing some of their society picks here.
Yeah, I said, all right, guys, it's time to make it available for the rest of the country. This is some good stuff. But they
Okay.
picked this as their summer dram,
Okay.
and this is in hot weather. They thought that it was really pleasant to drink in hot weather, just its sweetness. And while it says it's 9 years old, there was a festival in May, so it was bottled 1 to 2 weeks before it turned 10 years old to get here in time for this festival they had in May.
Oh, okay.
I remember I saw this on your list, Jay, and we had Teaninich is coming up more often now in independent bottlers, which I think it's a little misunderstood malt because it's quite bright. It can be
Yeah.
very pop rocky on the palate, and people think that's alcohol, but it's not. It's just because Teaninich uses a mash filter instead of a mash tun, so it's a very, very, very clean wort. And so it's really bright. But this one, when I saw the Amontillado, I was like, oh, okay, that's different. We're gonna have to bring. So the Amontillado is what caught my eye for this one because you just don't see that style of sherry very often.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail there too. It's the only distillery in Scotland that uses this special either hammer mill or that filter, but there's something special about Teaninich that produces an extremely clean and pure distillate when it's done. But you
So it's the opposite of what we just saw not a lot of times of all in grain. This is really filtered before it goes into the fermenter. Is that what you said?
Definitely not grains in. Yeah, so the opposite. So you have clean and kind of dirty wort. So when you're getting that sugary water to ferment, a mash filter is to get the clearest possible wort you can. So it's even clearer than a lauter tun. So it's basically pushing through a filter instead of just being drained through some sieve holes on the floor or all grains in. So it's a really, really very clean, sugary water. Nothing really gets through into fermentation, which just gives you a brighter kind of citrusy beer, essentially, which carries through.
ABV Vinny is 54.9 on this one. I think this is lovely. You know, sometimes with the octaves, they don't do me right. I don't know what the reason is. Sometimes maybe it's just too much oak influence with the smaller barrel, but this one's balanced really, really nicely. This is a delicious, you know, small run, basically. Really, really, really beautiful. And this one is
quite a long finish.
Yeah. What did we say? 115.99. So a little bit more rare, a little more expensive than the Mannochmore, but or Mannochmore. Holly's tasting notes are there in the chat. Quite a bit of interesting candy and cocoa notes, along with the berries and citrus. Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good step up from the Mannochmore, where it's kind of that clean and fruity, and now we have this rich sweetness from that Amontillado sherry. Now, kind of want to leave this open to you guys. The next ones, I do think we go with another Tree Carragh, but the Inchgower being matured for 16 years in first fill ex bourbon, or this Blair Athol, which is quite lovely at 12 years old, finished in a first fill sherry cask or tawny port cask, excuse me.
I think maybe
I think
Inchgower. What
yeah,
do you think?
Yeah, Inchgower works. I almost think that's more intense, just the
Oh, really?
intensity of the Inchgower. But the cool thing with this is Ryan, the owner and founder of Tree Carragh. It's his favorite release. They've won a lot of awards. They do at least 10 releases a year, and this was a silver medal winner, I believe, again.
So we're
And
doing
it's
the
his favorite release.
Inchgower next, is that right?
Yeah, let's go there. Let's
Okay.
go there.
All right, Inchgower 16, Tree Carragh.
Yeah.
And you said this is a tawny port cask?
Nope, this is first fill ex bourbon cask. So Inchgower is another space side that is used in blends only. They don't have a branded release. And this comes in at 51.7% alcohol. Inchgower is probably my favorite distillery as a unknown distillery in America. I think the distillate they produce, it's almost got a special texture with its fruitiness to me. But Inchgower, I've been looking for my own cask of that. I finally got my own. And so this is the first Inchgower from an indie bottle that I was able to get my hands on. And I think it's quite lovely at 16 years old.
So you were able to get the whole barrel of this? Oh, no.
No. I bought a barrel of Inchgower myself
for
that I'll be coming
whispering.
out with next year.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Which is your brand, Jay? Is that the Whispering Water?
Yeah, Whispering Waters is my brand. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. After going with the first two that we had, I wouldn't think this is only ex-bourbon with its sweetness and the intensity of flavor. But Holly, I'm really interested in your take on this one, being an ex-bourbon lover of yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Inchgower is an interesting one because they're a coastal distiller, are pretty close to the coast.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will talk about a nice salinity, like a briny quality in Inchgower, which I think I get sometimes, maybe 75% of the time, and then other times not so much, but it's definitely one that I've been enjoying more often. We actually have a different Inchgower. I think it was Amontillado actually, but there was a lot of brininess. So we'll see if anyone else catches any of that in this one. Let's see.
On the nose, it's interesting. I'm getting more kind of like a hay earthiness on the nose. It's not as maybe kind of sweet vanilla. I mean, there is some of that, but it's a little bit hidden by some of the earthiness. But on the palate, you're definitely getting that kind of first fill bourbon note coming right through, and the richness from that age. There's definitely like more layers to this complexity because of the age, I believe, on this one.
I think the nose throws you off on this one quite a bit.
Yeah.
You're not expecting the flavors that come with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those distilleries that there's always a surprise in store. You know, sometimes like you think some are really fruity, typically some are spicy. Teaninich's always a little bit bright. Inchgower is a little bit of a moody whiskey. Like it's always got a little hidden something in every Inchgower I've had.
That's what I like about it, Holly. It's hard to pin down what to expect with an Inchgower. So the reason why I do the WhiskeyLab and indie bottlers, it's special releases. It's hard to reproduce if at all, and that's one of the reasons I like Inchgower quite a bit.
That's a decent price. I'm putting it in now. I know it's very, very, very challenging, and it depends on a lot of factors now. Type of cask, how popular the distillery is, tariffs, so many new factors. But in general, you know, if we can keep it to that $10 to $15 a year for independent bottlers, single casks, I know that's changing, but this I think is a really great price for a cask strength 16-year-old.
But based on the post, it seems more economical to go to Vinny's.
Unless it's all bourbon, but I know it's not.
Yeah, this one's again the owner's favorite. It's one of my favorites. I was most excited to bring this over to America, more than my own releases.
So Ari put it in the chat room here. So a lot of it's in Johnny Walker, VAT 69. White Horse, black and white. Only 1% bottled as single malt. So
yeah, they do this in I think Diageo does part of their floral and fauna. You'll see Inchgower releases from them.
Yeah.
But it's a larger larger small batch release from them. Yeah.
That was beautiful. I need to grab my water. That was one thing I forgot. I left on my desk. So.
Yeah, I was excited for this pick overall, or these picks overall, to see 4 from Tree Carragh. I think it's a good sequence to go into the intensity of flavors. Once you go into the Ferg and Harris, higher ABVs, I think it's a lot more intensity and flavor overall.
It's because it's higher.
Well, that was a beautiful whiskey.
Yeah.
That Inchgower. I mean,
Yeah,
they've all been great, but they're all so different from each other too, which makes them so much. That makes it fun. Should we stick to Tree Carragh before we move into Ferg and Harris or your Whispering Waters?
I think so.
Just
I think
round it out.
the Blair Athol, it's the second port release that I was brought into the United States. I started working with Tree Carragh because they had a Glenallachie finished in a tawny port that I wanted, and that's how I got connected with them. I just love that release so much, and when I saw this, I was very excited. There's a couple different whiskey clubs in DC, and one of the things that they tend to love is Blair Athol, so I knew I had to get my hands on that. This one right here. But this is 12 years old. As far as the color goes, I'd say this is the darkest color from the first 3 that we tried. But again, first fill tawny ports, only 174 bottles out of this cask. 174. 12 years old, 51.6%.
What is a super tawny port?
That's a great question. I can't answer that. I know that vintage tawny means it's 7 years old, and tawny port tends to be older than that. To be a vintage, it has to be 7 years old. Super, I'm guessing it's very old cask, but I don't know. Don't know.
Tawny port.
Is Ari looking it up? Isn't it something? Yeah, I think it's stating the quality. I could be wrong.
I think Ari is coming off the ceiling still. He's not looking at it.
I'll look it
Yeah,
up.
sorry, this one just knocked me
Oh, you-
right out. I mean, I'm a huge port guy, but this is
Yeah.
a new type of port flavor that I've never had before. Like that the caramel and the tobacco, it just wow, as I said. But now I'm looking up what super tawny port.
We're able to get more of this one in Ari or Jay, right?
Absolutely,
okay.
Ken.
Yeah, we had a little
think
accident with one of these bottles, and it was really unfortunate. Yeah.
Be good with the cigar.
Very rare to happen in the shop, but yeah.
You're making that sound really bizarre and serious, Charles. Like someone died in the shop from the Blair Athol. It just broke.
Okay.
We had a 12-year-old died. I mean, it was.
A bottle broke.
But wait, there's a reason it's called the super tawny port. The port is anywhere from 40 to 50 years old before it comes out. A tawny port is only 10 to 20 years. So that could be where we're getting that really extra richness from.
Great cask. Only about 1 year in this finished cask.
I don't smoke cigars. Vinny smokes cigars. This sounds like something you would have with a cigar, right?
Yep, absolutely. There are a few that fit the profile. This is one that I definitely would have with a cigar. That and a Tam Do are my 2 favorites. I mean, this one is like drinking a Tam Do with a cigar. Very nice.
Very, very intense on the flavor. I typically enjoy a sherry cask, PX more than Oloroso with a cigar for the sweetness to help balance out the smokiness of the cigar. But the super rich sweetiness of this or sweetness of this, I think would go great with the cigar. Yeah. So do you think we went in the right order so far, guys, as we grow in intensity of flavor?
Yeah, I think we need to sit on this one for a little. This is one that you want to
This is
just kind of
Yeah.
You want to sit with
sip
it.
slowly and enjoy this one because
Hmm.
It's
there
really
are
good. You have more, or you can get more.
we can get more. Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and this one was only 119.
Different.
Mhm.
You know,
That's a great price. That's a good deal for this.
What was the price?
119.
Yeah. Again, only 174 of this were made.
What was the ABV on this one, please?
51.6.
Mhm.
There's all these different levels of taste. It's like grassy and smoky.
Okay, so I'm having a really hard time because so far every whiskey we've had has been number one on my list. And I keep having to cross out the number one and redoing them all. So stop.
All right. All right. We're doing it right then. We're doing it right then.
Declare a tie and go on. Buy one of each.
Yeah. Yeah. Ari, I'm going to find this YouTube video and then cut this right out, you saying that, and put it up on my social media. That's great.
According to Google, you're in Springfield, Oregon. I guess you've never been there. You're in DC now.
Oh yeah. According
Yeah.
to Google, it says
Yeah, you looked the search and it came up with had all your whiskeys there, and it was Springfield, Oregon. So I don't even know where Springfield, Oregon is. But
yeah, I am not anywhere in that state. But there is a couple companies I found that whenever certain brands put out new releases or things come approved by the TTB, I've seen some fake websites advertise bottles for sale, which is unfortunate. But I think to move on would be then Ferg and Harris, and then go on to the Whispering Waters. Ferg and Harris is a different kind of brand. I'll tell you a little bit about them. They have two different types of releases. They have their single casks, which are very special and high end, and the higher end version of the single cask come in bigger boxes. So the standard square box is this Tormore 11 year, and then the bigger box is Bunnahabhain. And they do that because you can fit 6 of these in a case and 4 of these in a case. So
are the bottles the same size?
The bottles are the same exact size. It's just the
700
box.
milliliters?
700 milliliters, yeah. Yeah. And they come in these fancy boxes that you could stand on. They're quite strong. And high-end labels, that the whole point of this brand is the luxury aspect of it. This Tormore 11 year, they do a lot of stuff in virgin oak. A few years ago, they won some awards for virgin oak. I think I'm not sure if you guys had the Auchentoshan 15 year, but that was finished in virgin oak. That won some awards in 2022, and they started experimenting quite a bit. So this was matured in first fill ex bourbon, and then finished in virgin oak for 6 months. That's quite a long time for virgin oak. These guys would be tasting the release when it's in virgin oak every couple of weeks or at least once a month. So at 6 months, they decided to bottle this. And this is only 205 bottles out of this cask at 11 years old. What I find crazy with this is it's 63.3%. That's a pretty high ABV.
Tormore is a really cool distillery too. It's one of those, you can tell the architecture is different right away when you're driving past it. It's that 1960s wave of blended Scotch craze and the building of Devon and Tormore and many others to fulfill the blended Scotch demand. But it's now owned by, it was Chivas, so you'll see that Chivas Brothers with Ballantines, and it was pumping malt out to go into Pernod Ricard's blends. But yeah, Elixir purchased it. So that was a big deal. Elixir is the single malts of Scotland, Port Askeg, elements of Islay. used to own Whiskey Exchange. So we're going to see a lot more of Tormore, which has been great because I think it's a really nice creamy Speyside malt that didn't.
I love Tormore.
Yeah.
Every Tormore I've had so far has
It's a
been just
25,
phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm really surprised with this one, the ABV it is and how well it drinks. I wouldn't think this is in the 60s for ABV. I think
Yeah,
it drinks
this-
at a much lower proof.
Definitely, yeah. 63.3. There's like no way. I mean,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll drink.
It's easy to feel pretty good too fast drinking this dram right here.
yeah.
Just a shout out to Ferg and Harris, though, Jay.
Yeah.
That cherry matured 12-year-old undisclosed Speyside, which we still have some in the shop, is probably one of our best ever selling in IBs. It's
Oh,
so popular because if you love cask strength sherry bombs, then for $89.99 you cannot beat it. So they're larger vattings, they're
Yeah.
still single malts, but not their single casks are really great too. So I hope they keep doing that as well because that's a great deal for a 12-year-old cask strength Pedro Jimenez Oloroso matured single malt.
First, yeah, that first fill PX is great. That is their small batch release. There was 5,000 bottles with that one, twice these being single casks, and they're always that experimentation. So it's a secret Speyside unnamed distillery, and that's how they can get it. It's such a good deal, such a good price.
We figured it out though, didn't we?
We did. We a friend of mine from another brand, Jack at Uncharted. That's actually how I was told and introduced to Holly was through Jack at Uncharted Whiskey Company. We sat and tasted the liquid before it was finished because it's a 6-month finish in that PX, and then after, he thought it was Royal Bracla, and then Holly and I were on a call, and she's like, "Wait a minute, we're certain it's a Bacardi owned distillery. They own 4, and 1 is in Speyside." So we think it's Altmore.
Two were in
Two?
Speyside, Carragh and Altmore, but
yeah.
it's not Carragh.
Yeah, speaking of clean
I'm
distillates,
gonna put it in
where
the chat.
Teaninich is super clean, Carragh is super dirty. And that doesn't make it, and it's bad. It's just a dirty, rich, thick distillate. So we knew it wasn't Carragh, and it has to be Altmore. But they won't confirm nor deny that it's Altmore.
Craigallachie's naughty.
Not naughty.
Yeah. Not dirty. It's just naughty.
Worm tongue roll.
What are the because I wanted to put this on the website and I forgot what you told me, Jay. The birds that are on the Ferg and Harris bottles, what is the football team that represents?
It's a great question. I will follow up. I'm not a big sports guy, but Alex Ferguson and John Harris, that's how the brand Ferg and Harris, and that's their favorite football or soccer team. The logo is those 2 birds. I don't know it off the top of my head. I'll have to follow up with that. That's how they created the brand.
Hey Jeff, we're tasting the Tormore, the Ferg and Harris Tormore.
See if it's on their website, Holly.
Yeah, if anyone can look at the birds on the packaging and tell me what. I think it's a pretty like low division Glaswegian team or something, but I want to know what the football team is, and I couldn't remember or figure it out.
Might be
It's the Atlanta
let's
Falcons.
see.
It's actually a falconry group that just loves their birds.
Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah,
They
the
appear to be
founders are
feeder birds for a falconry group. I'm just saying they look more like the targets than the Falcons.
Well, they're targets. They are targets. Yeah.
That's right.
Play pigeon.
Yeah, blueberry flavored. Yeah.
Falcons are red.
What?
it's killing me. How I want to know. It's coming to me eventually.
Well, it'll come to you after a couple more whiskeys.
Yeah,
Let's see it
especially
maybe on
this one here.
Bunnahabhain.
Yeah, Bunnahabhain. That's a distillery that you almost could not find casks unless they're very old for a long time from indie bottlers because they're either very expensive or just untouchable because of price. Now
We're going
we're
to do
starting to see
that
more of
before
them.
the Glenallachie.
I think we put it to the group vote, Charles. So this I'll talk about both.
Yeah.
The Bunnahabhain was matured in second fill Oloroso and then finished in Sauterne. So it's a very, very unique whiskey. They advertise it as heavily peated. I didn't even think it was peated when I first had it. And for the age of 14 years, it's 54.7%, and that's cask strength. Yeah. Only three months in that Sauterne. Sauterne, am I saying that proper?
Yeah,
Sauterne
Sauterne.
Barrique.
What turn?
So it's heavily peated Buddha that was matured in Oloroso and finished in Sauterne. Vice Glenallachie, which is a space side where Bunna's the Isla. Glenallachie was matured in first fill Oloroso, higher ABV at 62.1%. Sherry bomb, very intense. I'd say these are both very intense, rich, long-lasting flavors. One of them is peated, one of them is not. And I don't think one overwhelms the other. So I think both would be fine to go to next on the palate.
Okay. Jay,
What do you,
basic question that I've been
Sure.
waiting. Why do these distilleries sell cast independent bottlers? I know when a distillery has too much and they want somebody to bottle it and put it on a different name, but these are putting out the name of the distillery. Is it because there are only a couple of those casks, or is it some other reason?
It's a great question. Some distilleries do not sell casks. And like Macallan, you can still get Macallan from the 80s or early 90s. But it is that business supply and demand aspect. The bigger the brand, the harder it is to get a cask from them, unless you know someone. If you're an employee of one of these distilleries, you often can buy a cask or you have special privileges or these relationships that certain brands like Gordon and MacPhail, who helped brands like Macallan not collapse years ago, they have special access. The Scotch Malt Whisky Society has relationships with every distillery. So it depends on who you are and who you know, just like a lot of business. But the brand matters with their connections at the distillery, and some employees get casks, which they'll then sell. You'll often find warehouses will just get a notice from an owner that forgot about a cask. Hey, try and sell that for me. So it goes out to an email list, and then indie bottlers get access to it. We see decently priced high-end brand releases is usually that case. 30-year-old Macallans, those are going for $250,000, and which is insane. You almost only see those going in Hong Kong, but every now and then you'll see them for $30,000 to $50,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but that's a pretty good price for a 30-year-old high-end single malt. But some brands do not sell casks, like Bruichladdich or Lefroy, and then they just decide to because there's not a massive demand. So Bruichladdich, this past spring, they released liquid from their fresh distillate, which they sold to indie bottlers. There might have been 1,000 casks worth of liquid that they sold off to indie bottlers. Not anyone. You had to be in the Scottish bottling industry or branded industry. So that happened. You couldn't buy them for investments. A lot of these brands also have rules behind it. Highland Park, big brand. You'll see special releases from indie bottlers. You'll see Orkney Island because you can't use the name Highland Park, or Tobermory. So they have a couple different brands under the same distillery, and then there's one Strathdairn. That is the brand that you'd have to use if you're an indie bottler for Tomatin. You can't use the name Tomatin as the brand on your indie bottler. You have to say Strathdairn. So there's different rules with different distilleries, and on the paperwork for a cask, that can determine what you can use. So sometimes you can use Highland Park if the delivery order authorized you to, or the contract for the cask. Most often not. but it's just standard business. How in demand is the liquid? Do they have excess supply that they can dump or sell to indie bottlers?
Thank you.
So
The
what do
business
you guys
side is my
think?
favorite part.
Should we do Glenallachie or Bunnahabhain?
Oh, thanks.
This one,
Yeah, I just
which one?
paid.
I think
That's Bunnahabhain.
I'd say we save the smoke for last. I don't know.
Smoke for last. So go with Jay's Glenallachie first.
Yeah, let's do it.
One vote.
I kind of like that too. I think let's do the Oloroso bomb first, and then we'll wrap up with the
Put these two together.
Sauterne finish.
No,
Bunnahabhain.
no, I have. This is
That works. This is a sherry bomb for sure.
All right, Whispering Waters, Glenallachie, 10-year. This
Yeah,
one's up there too with 62.1% ABV.
62.1% matured entire time in first fill Oloroso. Cheers, everybody. There's a bit of a story to this cask.
Interesting taste. Sorry.
It's very intense. It's very rich, very long lasting.
You got enough?
I actually don't like it with water. I think it's better without water at current ABV. We tested at the bottling hall, Young Spirits, which is the owner of Ferg and Harris. So I bottle with Young Spirits, that brand. And 55, 57, 60, I thought it was much better at 62% with the richness of it. While they were moving the cask, how bottling works is they'll take the cask, they'll dump it through a charcoal filter that fills up a big plastic container. And then they move that plastic container to the bottling line and hook it up to the equipment to help bottle. And these bottles are all done by hand, everything about it. But the forklift cracked a stave. No one noticed. They thought it was just low liquid. So only 247 bottles out of this cask. When I bought it, I was expected to have 320 bottles come out of this cask. So lost a lot of liquid in the production process in one day. But it's great. This is my 5th release. I have a few more casks coming out next year, maybe one for Christmas. But the whole brand of Whispering Waters actually started in Saratoga Springs. I've told the story a couple times, but I was a submariner. Whispering Waters, that's a nod to the submarine service, which is also known as the silent service. And then the logo is 2 mermaids, one facing to the left, one facing to the right. And that's kind of a tribute to sailors around the world. There's a couple different names for them in Scottish folklore. But in Scottish folklore, you could make a wish if you met one of these mermaids, or you got 3 wishes. And German and Greek and most folklore for other mermaids, they're all evil. They kill men. But in Scottish folklore, if you met a mermaid, you could become a king. You could get your wishes granted. So that's kind of the story behind the brand. But it all started with the submarine service, and I had my first Scotch ever at a house in Saratoga Springs. And so from Scotch about 15 years ago, a Lafroig, which I hated but couldn't stop drinking, to today, that's what helped create Whispering Waters.
Okay.
So do the Scottish mermaids have a karmic penalty? Like, you get to be king, but you turn orange and you're kind of an asshole. Sorry.
No, it's not like that. It's the Maid of the Wave or the Selkies. There's 2 different versions of it, and the story behind it, the Selkies, is they were seals that could take their skin off and look like a human.
Right.
And if you are a sailor or someone, you go capture that seal skin, and they would stay with you, and you got wishes granted to you. But if they ever got that seal skin back, they would go back to the water because that's where they belong. They belong in the sea. So that's the story of the wishes. Do
you remember in Congress Park here in Saratoga, the Spick and Spack fountain?
I don't. I probably should.
That could be your Kelpies there. So you never know.
Yeah, you're not the guy who stole them then.
No.
Okay, but here's the Kessering.
Yeah.
All I love this release, Jay. I think this is
Mm.
beautiful. You know, it's intense, but once your palate adjusts to it, it's really, really silky and fruity and just really, really nice. I mean, the alcohol comes through, but not overpowering once you kind of adjust to it.
I got lots of chocolate.
Yeah,
Just
definitely
really,
the dried fruit and the chocolate notes.
Mhm.
It's like a dessert dram is what I think of it.
Yep.
Do you know when they got their hands? I know the timelines are never known, but was this before Billy Walker and they've been
So
sitting on it or during Billy?
yeah, yeah. So Billy Walker bought Glenallachie in 2017, and this was distilled in 2014. You cannot buy casks from Glenallachie. This is one of those distilleries now that will not sell casks to anyone to brand for themselves. You can go buy a cask and have it branded under Glenallachie's brand, but indie bottlers can't buy new Glenallachie. And Billy Walker, he's the biggest name in Scotch whiskey, or so they say. With the performance he's brought to the distilleries before him or before Glenallachie, he went around and started buying up all that he could of these casks on, we'll say, that the secondary market. So I think we'll see some Glenallachie from indie bottlers for over the next few years, but it'll become rarer and rarer to see an indie bottled Glenallachie.
somebody.
I can't think of off
Secret
the
of
top of my
Rome.
head if maybe we've had one IB of Glenallachie. I don't think you really do not see it.
I have the sister cask of this coming over in a couple weeks. So this is First Fill Oloroso, a new brand I'm bringing over, has a cask of First Fill PX. I think it's wonderful, and I think they go great side by side. Both matured, both the same age, 10 years old. So it's kind of cool to see almost the same distillate matured in different casks. Which do you like better? Do you like PX? Do you like Oloroso more? Be a good experiment.
And does the distillery, I know we're doing independence now, but does the distillery have cask finish expressions like this?
I don't. They have a lot of sherry casks. That's predominantly what Glenallachie does, and they do a lot of experimenting. He has some special casks he does for certain regions of the world, even certain states. I think one of the coolest thing I saw from him was an Oloroso and Virgin Oak that was for Japan only. But he does a lot of pretty cool stuff. And again, you could go over there and buy a cask. You could meet him if you buy a cask. He's in his 80s now, I think. But a really, really nice guy. His son is actually an independent bottler, the founder, the owner of Infrequent Flyers.
Oh, okay.
We've done quite a few of their bottlings over the years. Yeah,
we went there. Remember, Paul? Yeah. Remember we were in there behind their distillery? I mean, you could see everything. Rum,
all those
Chinkapin
barrels.
Oak, every wine you could imagine, every sherry you could imagine, a lot of different casks.
Yeah. They're probably the biggest purveyors of different wood expressions in the state side, I would think. You know.
Yeah, they got a lot of unique stuff. They do a lot of single cask releases. A lot.
Yeah. And you know, they're solid too. I mean, I don't think I've had any Glenallachie that I haven't actually enjoyed. So it's one of those pretty spot on distilleries.
And even more important than that, when we first met Holly, she was pouring it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought that was that freezing tasting we had at
Oh, that was Carragh. A different Alec.
Wow, sorry. Never mind.
Yeah.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Glad you remember meeting me, though. That means a lot.
Oh, there we go.
And
Yeah,
Holly's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love
Throw me up
that.
downstairs.
I love that.
You must have.
We're
Speaking
gonna
of
wrap
Craig
up with
Alki.
we're gonna wrap up with an Isla. And you know, it was interesting when we brought this in, and obviously it's not a cheap bottle, but I was looking at, I spent quite a bit of time on Isla this year and last year as well. And if you ever find a single cask Bunnahabhain, it's super. The pricing, even from the distillery release pricing, is way up there. So it's not out of this world for a single cask Bunnahabhain to be this price. But pretty excited to see it, because you don't actually see, or you don't get the opportunity as often as you think you would to have a really solid offering like this. So we jumped on it.
Yeah.
We have a couple of these.
There's only 2 left in the United States that I have. Only two bottles.
Okay.
And I almost didn't bring it over because I thought it was too expensive. I didn't think it would be I didn't think it would sell. It's the best seller that I have from this brand. Everyone wants it. So I have 2 bottles left of it in inventory.
And we have, I think, 2 bottles, I think.
What is the price?
That's $239.99 for a single cask Bunnahabhain. 54.7% ABV.
Yeah.
Oloroso and finished in Sauterne.
281 bottles out of this cask. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Jay.
It's large.
You can definitely smell the peatiness on it.
I love that nose. I mean, honestly, it's just kind of a trigger for me.
I feel like this whiskey is fighting with itself to figure out what it wants to push through first, the sweetness or the peat, and it just keeps flowing back in and out. Which I'm a huge Bunna fan, so I'm loving this, because I'm also a sherry fan, and and a Sauterne fan. I just love finishes, so the complexity of this one is whew.
It is.
Yeah, I found it really interesting that this was heavily peated for Bunna. They're not typically heavily peated, but this was a heavy peated Bunna, and I'm not getting heavy peatiness that I would expect from like a 100 ppm Octomore or something like that, or even Steosha, I think, is their heavy peated brand of release.
Yep.
You said it's not 100.
So it's not 100. It's less than 100 ppm.
Oh yeah. This is probably around 50 or so, which would be their Steosha.
Really wonderful.
Yeah.
I wonder if if it was a little older, I'd think that it was age that had just drawn out some of the peat smoke, but I wonder if the Sauterne just really kind of put an invisibility cloak over the peat.
How big is this Sauterne cask?
It was a barrique, which I believe is 225 liters.
So it's that much bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a hogshead, which that's 250 liters, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so matured in a hogshead and then was finished in a barrique.
Which makes sense. Yep. Delicious.
Yeah, I love the palate, the finish on this. Yeah, it's very good. Very good.
But it really reminds me of the 90s Bunnahabhains before they went all sherry crazy, where it was an actual peated whiskey. And I added just one little drop of water from my dropper, and it tames the sherry, and it really just gives me that 90s Bunna flavor.
Really? Awesome.
You have a lot of good little quote bits from Ari tonight for your social media.
Yeah. Thank you, Ari.
Feel free to come with the bottles and hang out, and I'll just let you record me all day long.
Where do you live, buddy?
Staten Island, New York City.
Just bring a bottle. That's all I say.
Next week.
I'll even pull out a bed for you, no problem.
Yeah, I have an event downtown a week from today at Flatiron Room, where we're going to. I think this is a wonderful lineup here. But Wednesday night I'll be at On the Rocks.
Yeah.
And Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go meet over there. If you want to come out, Ari, I'll buy you a drink.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Where are you, Ari?
Staten Island.
Oh, you did say that. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But Vinny and I are not
believe,
allowed to talk about Brooklyn.
No,
No, I'm one of the few people who've never actually lived it. I went from Long Island to Staten Island. I just can't get off of islands with a few years up in Albany, but that's besides.
Charles and I were there yesterday. That was my my Brooklyn thing.
This was a great tasting tonight. Everything was just beautiful, and a great selection of different tastes and malts and varieties. So, thank you.
This reminded me of the Bunnahabhains I picked up at the distillery. These little handfills. I got a cognac, a PX, and a Muscat, and I haven't had them in a while. Now I have to get back to them.
And those I don't think are peated. Those are unpeated.
Unpeated. I mean, the one peated I got was the Fegil, the 19-year.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's an incredible bottle.
Yeah. Jay, I don't want to rush away from, because these are your new releases. They just came in. But what are, you said in the pipeline you have maybe this year too, another release. What are some of the brands that you have in the pipeline or distilleries?
Yeah, so in May, I went over to Scotland with my wife for our honeymoon that we took after we had kids, because she was pregnant when we got married. And we met a couple new brands over there. One of them is Glass Chew Spirits.
Yep.
Glass Chew is Scots Gaelic for Glasgow. It's just the Gaelic name for Glasgow. And it was a couple young guys who started that, and they were buying from the same groups that I was buying from and just heard my name. And when I tasted their Glenallachie, I thought it was wonderful. I thought it'd be a good experiment. But they had a special bottle. I'm going to stand up and grab it. I'll grab 3 new brands I'm bringing over. But I'm a big fan of Art Deco artwork and architecture, and they do all their labels. Every label is like a new Art Deco style design. And this was the first bottle they gave me and kind of gave me a sample of. It's got a yellow submarine on it.
Yes.
And so it's from Tomatin. This is the Strathern release, so it's got to be labeled Strathern as the distillery. But it was mature or finished in Madeira, and I think it's wonderful. So I have a bunch of cases of this coming over, and the story behind this label is a retired submariner, United States submarine guy, went over to Scotland, built a submarine, and sailed in Loch Ness to try to find the Loch Ness monster. So I love the story. He gave me a bottle just to take home with me on my anniversary. So I have 4 of their releases. I have this Strathern Tomatin, the Glenallachie, Peliac, which is another. It's not the distillery, but that's the name the distillery lets you use. I think that's peated Tormore, correct? Where it's not. Charles, say that again.
Leitchick.
You can't use that name as an indie bottler, supposedly, so they call it Peliac. And then I have one more, another distillery. I can't really say the name. Ardna Maturin. I can never say that. Ardna Merkin. And that's a young one, and it's only 5 years old, but it's been matured in PX sherry. So I have 3 10-year-olds coming over from them, and then a 5-year, which is phenomenal. It was so good that I asked them to print labels without the 5 on the front label, because I think that would distract people just looking at the age and not want it. But it's probably just as intense as the other sherry bombs that I've had. That's one brand. And then Ferguson Whiskey. This is by David Ferguson. He's a big guy on the business side, used to do a lot of big volume movements of cask, if you want to see the label. This is from the Speyside Distillery. And so if you don't know, that distillery is now a ghost distillery. It shut down operations in November and turned the keys over this past May. And it's being torn down by a new group. It's going to be rebuilt. So technically, any release from the Speyside distillery is a ghost release. And what he did was buy upwards of 1,000 barrels that were matured in PX sherry cask, and he releases them one cask at a time. So it's all single cask, but it's also can be a consistent, reproducible release, almost like a small batch. So that's he's also collaborated with Ferg and Harris, and they have a 30-year Springbank that I'm bringing over,
Oh my.
an ex-bourbon cask. For Springbank, I think it's a pretty good deal. It'll be expensive for a cask, but 30 years old, it's about half the retail price of standard Springbank 30-year. Single cask strength in the high 50s, where this is 55.7 Speyside Distillery. And then another brand, there's a new distillery being built in Campbelltown, and it's called Witchburn. And that's owned by Brave New Spirits. Brave New Spirits has multiple brands that they do. One of them is Cask Masters, and this is a Kailila cask, 13-year-old Kailila from Cask Masters, and it's filled in this. I'm not going to say it, but it's a wine from Ukraine. This cask. It was finished in this Ukrainian wine cask. It's phenomenal. It won some Masters Award recently. And so I'm trying to bring over maybe 5 to 10 of their releases between their Scary Monsters and this Cask Masters. I'll be bringing over 4 of Glass Juice Spirits, this Speyside distillery, Sherry Bomb, the Compass Box, or not Compass Box, excuse me, the Springbank 30-year-old. And then there's 2 other brands that I've been talking with. And that's not finalized yet. But there's a group that I'll be working with too. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Red Cask. Almost everything they do is just super dark red sherry bombs. So beautiful bottle design, but I'll have another 12 to 20 releases coming over for Q4.
Nice. Sounds great. The glass shoe stuff is they're making waves. It's starting to see them quite a bit. Now the Ferguson, is that the family that's been in it for like a long time with the younger guy that's kind of the son? Yeah, I met him, I think, at the Independent Spirits Festival in March. And yeah, he had some amazing bottles there at his table.
He's been doing great. He's got a few different releases. Bricklottie release. I think he has a Kailila as well.
I think there was a 50 or something he had at his table too, that it was pretty crazy, but yeah, good stuff.
He's got some old stuff. I have 2 more releases for Whispering Waters coming out. I have a 50-year-old in Invergordon. I say Invergordon, and then my Scottish friends, they tell me it's Invergordon. And I have a 50-year single cask of that coming over. Only 120 bottles of that are coming.
Nice.
At cask strength, about 45%.
Nice.
Very old ex-bourbon cask that was then finished for the past year in a first fill ex-bourbon.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. We're going to wrap up. I'm not going to go through and ask what everybody's favorites were because we're online.
We got some in the chat.
There was
a nice mix. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a little kind of hard to do though when it's all virtual. So we'll just, everybody has their favorites, and there's still some bottles available. Some have been disappearing. So just FYI. And Jay, thank you so much for spending time with us again.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to part 3, WhiskeyLab part 3. I'm sure that'll happen.
Jay.
Probably earlier next year, but this was a really, really great tasting. 7 whiskeys. How can you beat that on a Wednesday or Thursday night? Yeah, usually Thursday night. So,
and for the next one, we're going to try and get Jay up to Saratoga.
I would love to be there in the winter time. So December, January works for me.
So we'll plan that for the next batch of releases.
We should do that. So. All right, guys, I'm going to turn the recording off so I can upload this to YouTube. But thanks again, Jay, and look forward to seeing everybody soon, either in the shop, online, or somewhere else. And
VIP Club Friday, maybe. We'll see.
yeah, you never know. I'm sure I'll see a couple of you there. So
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy.
Looking forward to get Heather to spin the wheel for me.
all right, guys,
Thanks.
have a good
Thank
night. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, Jay.